Welcome to the Tangent Gentlemen, where each week Scott and I start with a topic from the previous episode, then we see where the conversation takes us along the way. A question, idea, or disagreement sparks a tangent, and one of those tangents will become next week's discussion. We'll make that decision at the end. Tonight's topic is the American Dream.
Yes, this should be a good one.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I'm glad to say I learned a lot researching
I think
this.
I did too. Yeah.
So, how you doing, Brad? Doing pretty good?
I'm doing well. So did you learn who James Truslow Adams is?
I did, yes.
Yeah. Did you know that before?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I thought the idea. Well, you go ahead. Tell our faithful listeners.
Okay, so
what's going on here?
I guess this phrase, the American Dream, I guess he coined the actual phrase. It sounds like. Is that your understanding?
That's my understanding.
Yeah. In 1931, he wrote a book, and he apparently was a historian. He wrote a book. I guess he's a writer too. The Epic of America. Which I also saw a little side note. Ironically, he wrote that while he lived in Great Britain. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. That's interesting. Oh, I didn't see that part. Yeah.
So why don't I just start by reading what his definition was in that book?
Okay. Yes, please do.
The American Dream is that of... I can't read my own writing. The American Dream is that of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of a social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain to the fullest stature of which they are innately capable.
Yep.
What'd you think of that?
Blew my mind.
I like that.
I love that. But it's not the Horatio Alger's pull yourself up by your bootstraps, make $1 million story. Which I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's not about money. And actually, what I read, I assume you did too, it was in direct sort of response to the post Gilded Age robber baron mentality.
Yeah.
Like it was about, we are a nation founded on these ideals, and the American dream will be when we realize these ideals for all people, not just everybody gets their slice of the pie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I was shocked.
I bet you want to read the book now, don't you?
I'm a little intrigued. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
I wonder how long of a book it is.
I don't know. It's probably hard for it's short attention span in this day and age. It's probably hard for me to read it. But I was shocked. Because I always thought the American dream was that Horatio Alger's poor kid, poor immigrant, makes their way, gets rich, has a big house, has 2 cars. Like, I thought that was the American dream, was what they historically talked about.
I think you could easily argue that that's what it's changed to. If people accepted his definition in 1931, with these ideals, I think it's more what you're talking now. I think material wealth and, kind of the checklist of owning a home and having a car and having a good paying job and having a safe school and neighborhood for your family that you're raising.
Did you see that he said he felt like the best embodiment, what he said was the best embodiment of the American dream?
No, I don't think I did.
He said it was the Library of Congress, because it's the place where all citizens get an equal and equitable access to advancement. Huh. And I was like, man, that's like, I don't know, gives me faith in humanity or faith in America.
Yeah.
If we could, I don't know that we could ever get back to that. I think you're right. I think it has become, I'll say, bastardized to more stuff, more material, more possessions, more. That's what the American dream has become.
Well, what it made me think of immediately, Martin Luther King's definition.
Yep.
It's kind of, because I went back and I wrote that one down too. America is essentially a dream is yet unfulfilled, a dream of a land where men of all races, of all nationalities, and of all creeds can live together as brothers.
Yep.
Yeah.
So to me, I agree. There's a direct through line from 31 to Dr. King. I mean, that as far as the dream of America, yeah, and what it can, because that's, I don't know. For me, that's something I don't know. It keeps me up at night because I think we're getting further and further away from that.
Well, if you think about the origins of America, I guess it's where, to kind of get away from that European class system, where if you're a commoner or whatever the proper term is, you're going to be a commoner for your entire life.
Yeah.
If you're nobility, you're going to own land and have everything that goes along with that.
Right.
So it makes sense. And it goes back to, kind of the origins of America, which is it's always kind of mind blowing too. That's probably a whole different topic when you talk about the Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal.
Right. Except for
some men.
Yeah. And some women.
Yeah, women.
All women.
Yeah, and all women. Yeah, so it's kind of kind of a lot.
Yeah, that's that, and that is a part too with that America, because I'll be curious to get Chris's perspective because he's around teenagers still every day, unlike we. I mean, I'm not. I suspect you're not either. Just to get their sense, because I know from my two 20-year-olds, they think the American dream is kind of a lie. Like it's just not real anymore. The systems have made the achievement of what we perceive. If we want to go independent of what the original definition was, if we want to go with the idea that everyone should be able to make a living that allows them to have a home and a relatively comfortable life, work hard, but have a comfortable life, they think that's a lie. They think that's not true anymore.
Yeah.
That's not attainable because of greed and capitalism. If
you're talking about, kind of the checklist we threw out, house, car, good job.
Yeah.
Everything, all you need to raise a family.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. They fundamentally believe that the systems have allowed that to be corrupted to where greed and what they commonly just refer to as late stage capitalism and the legal structure that supports late stage capitalism has taken that away from them. Like they don't think, they're hardworking people that have had jobs since high school and graduated from college and, progressing on that path. They don't see owning a home before they're 30.
Yeah.
They just can't accumulate the wealth it takes. They can't, and part of it is they can't compete in the market where a lot of external entities are coming in to buy up what used to be called starter homes.
Yeah, it seems like home ownership is a little more difficult now, or quite a bit. It's definitely more difficult than post World War II.
Well, even for us,
and the boom that went with that.
Didn't you find when did you Cindy buy your first house?
Let's see, it would probably be about 1994, 93, 94, somewhere around there.
So how many years out of college were you?
2.
So, 2 years out of college.
Yeah.
I was further along because I went to graduate school, so I didn't start saving money. I went to graduate school for 4 years before I started pursuing being a teacher, so I didn't really have a job that paid me any reasonable wage until I was 6 years out of college. But even then, I was probably within 3 years, of that, I was buying a house. So
I was 2 years out of college, but I was Probably, let's see, I would have been 26 or 27 years old because it took me 7 years to finish college.
But that's just not the normal path now. I mean, that's just not. I mean, Evan, my oldest, is, he's saving money and trying to move in that direction. But a single person to put themselves in that position, I think what used to probably be done in 4 years is probably close to 7. I mean, we've talked about it. He's like, yeah, I figure by the time I'm 30, I'll have enough money that I can probably move in, look into buying my own house.
But when you look at how housing prices have, if you compare those to like inflation rates and things, just how grossly overvalued housing is.
Right.
That's, I'm sure that's a big part of it.
Well, my understanding is part of that is because of these external entities that are buying up real estate for investment purposes.
Yeah.
You're not competing with the other 30 or the other 25-year-olds who want to buy a house to live in. You're competing with the 50, whatever they are, whether they're private equity or real estate conglomerate. I mean, I don't really know how it works. I'm not knowledgeable, or I don't participate in that. But, so you've got people buying homes. I mean, I know this from recently. We sold my mother-in-law's home, and there were a lot of out-of-town people interested in it.
Yeah.
Strictly for an investment. They weren't looking to buy that house to move into.
Yeah.
They were looking to buy that house to turn around and rent it to somebody.
You ever get those random texts about your home?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
especially right after we sold that house, because our phone numbers were associated with things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People wanting to just buy up real estate.
Yeah. Which is, creates, to me, that creates an obstacle to what we think of as sort of our, current version of the American dream.
Yeah.
Because you're not competing with the, most, like all the other 27-year-olds or 25-year-olds who are trying to buy their starter home. You're competing with a lot of moneyed sources that you literally can't compete with.
Yeah.
So it is hard because you want to, I mean, I've always prided myself on being a pretty patriotic person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I believe in the ideals of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, it's flawed. I'm not saying we've ever fully actualized those ideals, but I believe in them. I believe that we are a different country than anywhere else in the world. And it, I mean, if I'm being honest, at times it worries me that we're getting further and further away from those ideals. We're not about those things, which to back to our theme of tonight, I don't know where I'm at on I don't know if the American dream was ever real. I mean, back to your point about, the all men are created equal with an asterisk.
If we go by the original definition of equal opportunity and for everyone,
So let's do this. When do you think, in light of all of our history, American history, whatever, warts and all, when do you think the American dream, as we think of it, is sort of the get a house, get a car, have a good job, support your family? When was that most real for all people?
Oh gosh, for all people? Well, I was first thinking, obviously, if you look at the history of the biggest economic boom, it would be post World War II. But that wasn't true for all people. You come back from World War II and a lot of infrastructure was built. I think whatever act it was to build all the interstates in the United States. And then you had the GI Bill, that provided money for college and housing. And, that combination kind of led to people migrating from, big cities to suburbs, which led to a housing boom. You kind of picture those 1950 neighborhoods where all the houses look the same, and a lot of affordable housing and people getting into houses, people getting higher education. But certain groups were excluded from that,
Right.
It was a lot of it's going on at the same time that there was a lot of and I'm not a history buff, but I don't know if it was federal or state mandated, but you had all the redlining going on at the same time you had this big housing boom going on. So at the same time, some groups of people were really benefiting and getting their first home and building some wealth and some home equity. Others were excluded from that. So I guess my answer would be, when was the American dream most achievable? The way we think of it today, with like material things and houses and cars, it would be post World War II, 1945 to up through the 60s.
I would say no, because of what you just said. I mean,
not for everybody.
There were a
that's
lot of
for
restrictions.
Sure.
Right. I'm saying for everybody. So for me, for everybody, I want to say, and again, I'm not a historian, but I want to say maybe in the early to mid 70s. I feel like by that time there were a lot of structural changes, a lot of laws in place that addressed redlining and prevented some of the exclusionary practices. And you started to get a sense that all people could get access. Now, I'm not saying it was perfect, and it surely wasn't, but you said this before. I think another piece to that was so important was the role of unions and how unions protected the workers and created. I was just having this conversation with my son today about different socioeconomic pockets and neighborhoods in Louisville, and how, like, when, there was a time when the sort of the Preston Highway corridor and the associated neighborhoods, you had people that were working at Ford and, International Harvester, GE. Yeah. I mean, those people were living, because what started it is, he said, I just find it really hard to believe that Phil Sims, who went to Southern High School, and won the Super Bowl went to Morehead State, and then won the Super Bowl for the Giants, and he's a Giants fan. He's like, it just blows my mind that he went to Southern High School. Yeah. Like, but when he went to Southern High School, it was probably a solid middle class. I mean, I don't know the SES of Southern High School now, but I would venture to say that when Phil Sims went there, it was a much more solid middle class kind of high school. I don't know. You grew up more in that neighborhood than I did. Would you agree with that the Preston corridor was a pretty solid middle class neighborhood?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you see, you go down through there are a lot of neighborhoods in there that were probably built in the 60s and 70s. A lot of homes.
Right.
Yeah. I wish I would have looked up some stats, some data trends about home ownership, percentage wise, like when it was at its peak, and when, because my guess would, and I don't have any idea, I don't know at all, but my guess is percentage wise, there's a lot fewer people in their 20s and 30s that own homes now than did in 60s and 70s and 80s.
I mean, so your kids are a little older than mine, so like, I don't mean to like call out, and if you say you don't really want to talk about it, that's fine. But like, when did your kids become homeowners?
In their 20s, both of them.
Like late 20s, mid 20s. Like,
I'm trying to think. Probably mid 20s, mid to late 20s. Yeah.
But did that require like a dramatic move of sorts? Because, the case you can make is you can own a home. A 25-year-old can own a home, a starter home. They're not in Jefferson County, or not in Metro, what I would consider Metro Louisville. I'm sure there are places in the county they can do that, but in order they would have to move away. And I don't know. I mean, I hesitate to say that because I don't want it to speak pejoratively about any other parts of the county, but I also, I recognize there's a certain degree of ignorance on my part.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what homes sell for in, you know, the southeastern or southwestern or the extreme western parts of the county. I mean, I just kind of know what's relatively, you know, near me. So,
yeah. They were both in their mid-20s. Tia's first home was in Louisville, and Brent's was here in North Dakota. You know, I did look up though. I was just kind of looking at home foreclosures, and of course, you know, percentage-wise, they peaked in that 2008, 2010. You know,
right.
Housing boom and bust. And then it kind of, it was home foreclosures were at their lowest ever during COVID. And that's because there was a lot of, you know, loan, not forgiveness, but they were postponed
right.
you know, and then that sort of thing, and some extra money going with that. And now they're creeping back up again. But the top 5 states for home foreclosures: number 1, Florida; number 2, South Carolina; number 3, Delaware; number 4, Indiana; and number 5, Nevada. And that's to, you know, midway through to 2026.
That's an interesting distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't have picked a few of those.
And then if you just look at the volume of home foreclosures, Texas becomes number 1, and California slides in there with Florida stays in there, and then California and Georgia and Illinois.
Yeah. I mean, it's been 20 years since I've been on the shopping market. I have no idea what home price. I mean, I know I have a sense because I see houses for sale in my neighborhood, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, who can, we have a mutual friend, Renardo, and he and I talk often about, like, who can afford these homes? Like, who realistic can afford it? Who in Louisville, how many people in Louisville are making enough money that they can afford an $800,000 house?
You know, it seems like
doing?
That's all you see being built, it seems like.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Somebody's buying them up.
I guess. And I think part of it is, and this is, I'll be curious to see what your take on this is. I think a new piece of the American dream is, how much debt tolerance am I okay with? You know?
Yeah.
Because for me growing up, and I think this goes back to our discussion last week about decision making, I wanted to avoid the adverse consequences as much as I could, which, by the way, I mentioned to my wife, who is a loyal listener, by the way, that idea. And she's like, yeah, I've always thought that was kind of, you know, like you were a little too much. That was too much on your mind, that I was too risk averse or too negative consequence averse.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think about, like, the housing, it's like that, the consequence of making a bad house purchase, you know, or fill in the blank, house purchase, car purchase, something purchase that you really can't afford, you know, and people are much more tolerant of debt than I am.
Yeah.
And I think debt tolerance has become one of the platforms of the American dream. You know, people driving cars they can't afford, people living in houses they can't afford. That's the American dream. You know, I don't know. I mean, that's not my dream, but so.
Okay. So is this true? So I hear you still think America is the greatest country, the best place to live. Is that true?
I mean, from my knowledge, well, right now or in its idealized form?
Well, if there's a difference between those two answers, talk about that a little bit.
I would say in its idealized form, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yes. Right now, I'm not sure. I am greatly disturbed by the power and influence and controlling factors of wealth.
Yeah.
And what wealth can do and does do for so many things in terms of buying influence, in terms of dictating policy. I mean, I don't, there's so many things that go on now that I just have to ask myself, who's okay with this? How are they okay with this? Like the people that are in charge. I mean, and I don't mean this just as an indictment of politics. I think this about, I mean, the latter part of my career, not when I came back to you, but before that, there were decisions being made for 100,000 kids in JCP in our public school system. Mm-hmm. And I really had to wonder, why is that a good idea? Like, why are we doing that? I mean, I think about that at the state level. Some of this allegiance to some of these testing procedures and protocols. Like, where's the evidence that that's good for kids? I'm not saying we shouldn't test kids.
Yeah.
But the products that we're aligning ourselves with, where's the evidence that that's good for kids? Because the answer seems to be, well, it's really popular, or we got a good deal, or, I mean, this is so inappropriate, but I'll say it because, it's our podcast. When I worked at the district level, and I would go, and work with a lot of science teachers, and they would basically bring up exactly what I'm talking about. Like, why are we using this testing instrument, but yet we know that good science practice is this, or good science education is this other thing? And I would say, I really don't know. And they'd say, well, what do you think? And I would say, this became my standard answer: strippers and beer. They said, what do you mean? I'm like, the sales rep for fill in the blank testing company, they have better strippers and they serve better beer. Yeah. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, because there's no educational policy, there's no pedagogy, there's no science instruction that says science instruction says a multiple choice standardized test is the worst, the absolute worst. But yet that's what we spent so much. I mean, this, you were on the other side. That's what we did. Yeah. That's what we gave to kids. And like, oh yeah, this is a good indicator of science success. No, at best, it's a good indication of reading ability, but it's not science.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's I think we all struggle with that if we really wanted to do what's best for kids, because I always wondered, are we doing the right thing for kids? And the place that I had to land to do what was expected in our positions in our school was, during a school day, we can't teach kids everything. So since we know what they're going to be tested on, we will focus on that so we can make sure these kids are successful on what seems to matter to a lot of people. And that's kind of where, where I settled. And it's pretty, if you do that, it's pretty easy. I mean, you can get kids to learn content that's going to be tested if that's your primary focus, and everybody's on board with it. I probably told you this, and I haven't had nearly enough to drink to tell you this in the sense that I normally would say it. One of the things, probably if I had to list my favorite top 5 Brad interactions, we were having a pretty intense argument about the importance of the ACT. You and I were. Yeah. And you said to me, I'm not going to defend it for what it is. And I'm paraphrasing this. I am going to defend it for how it will be used as an instrument and an avenue or a gate for our kids' success. And we are derelict if we don't prepare kids for that. And that statement, I mean, it blew my mind. It humbled me, and it challenged me, and it empowered me. I mean, it made me think, he's right. He is so right. Because I was so anti-ACT. I mean, I just feel like it's a reading test, and it's just such a not good test. Yeah. But you were absolutely right. But it is a gatekeeper, yeah. But it's a gatekeeper. And you also made the argument that, like it or not, the nature of college is such, it is a reasonably good indicator of your success in college. Yeah. Because practices in college are horrible. Right. But you really made that point and challenged me. And it was, I mean, I put it in the top 5, like, well, that's pretty most cool. Provocative,
intellectual, professional experiences I had. I mean, I really did. I'm only a third of the way into my Manhattan. That's not the bourbon talking. But no, seriously, I do. And I think that's a case of where that wasn't just about some other thing. That was someone truly analyzing, why does this matter for kids, and why should we as educators embrace it? And which is different than they got a good vendor and they served good cocktails, or they had good open bar or whatever. I don't know.
Well, education, like you would think, has come up quite a bit on this, and it's really it's just like a game. And I'm sure I know I've said this a bunch of times before, but if you're a football team, and if you're the Eagles and you're playing the Giants on Sunday, you're going to prepare all week long to play the Giants because you got a test coming up on Sunday and you want to win that test.
Yep.
So if, you want to go to college and the ACT is a way to get into college, you're going to prepare for the ACT.
Right. Well, and like you said, in preparing for the ACT, you increase your likelihood of surviving a not good professor or two your freshman year.
Yeah.
Because you learn the ACT is a reading test. Can you garner information from the written word, and can you make some logical conclusions? I mean, that's what the ACT does. That's my opinion. Which is what college is about.
Yeah.
In its worst iteration,
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's inherently bad, because, well, I guess in this day and age, I'm saying that is bad, because most people don't learn by going to the library and getting a book. That's not how we learn anymore.
No. Yeah. Schools. Somebody's going to have to step up and have the courage to make drastic, fundamental changes in a school, and have a little bit of success with helping people have a good life. It's because there's, where school is now is definitely not keeping up with where the world's going.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Or even where the world is.
Yeah, where it is.
I mean, we had a lot of this conversation during COVID. Like, COVID dramatically changed. I mean, the idea of remote school and what we were doing to try to get kids to learn, or to help kids learn during those experiences. I mean, it was just, I agree with you. I think it was, I don't have the answer, but I do feel like it was such a missed, post-COVID school has been such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We got somehow twist from knowing things to thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so do you think school... Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, getting back to the American dream, though, I agree with you. I think material wealth is harder to come by now for young people than it was 50 years ago, 75 years ago. What about the original definition that we talked about, and having a place where everybody has equal opportunities and everybody can live their best life? How do you think we're doing with that?
Oh, I think we're doing terribly.
I think we're doing worse than we were 20 years ago.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, it seems like a large percentage of the population, I won't say a majority, but a large percentage, has decided that demonizing the other is the most important thing. Not welcoming the other, not valuing the other, not recognizing the value of the other, but demonizing them. And I think when you start to demonize people and groups of people, to me, that gets really scary. You start to, and I say that on both sides. Yeah. I think that goes both ways. you start to take away you talk about this all the time. You start to find a way or a reason to dismiss or ignore the humanity, the divinity in another person. That's some dangerous stuff, because you can say they don't deserve the American dream.
Yeah.
That's not for them. And I mean, and again, I have my own personal sort of political, social beliefs about that and which side I think I'm on and what I want to see. But I also think that broad generalization goes on both sides.
Yeah, all sides. Yeah. I think so. It's like it seems like we're at a place now where most people believe for me to be right, you have to be wrong.
Yeah.
And there's no trying to understand some other position or something you may disagree with anymore, or sometimes not even to tolerate it, I'm not
even to allow you to have it.
Yeah.
To think differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I love the ideals, but I definitely don't think we're there. I don't think we've ever been there with that original definition. Yeah. Definitely not.
So you ask me the question, where are you at on, is this the best country in the world, the best place to live?
I really don't have anything to compare it to, because I'm not a world traveler or anything, and I don't really study other cultures and things. But I'm kind of like you, and you think about the ideals and the potential. I mean, I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I choose to live here, and I stay here because I want to be here. But I also have this strong desire for United States to become some place where everybody can live their best life.
Yeah.
And I like to think that I believe that everybody can, that there's enough for everybody. That's one thing that I really don't understand, just the idea that if somebody else betters themselves or is able to get more and have more opportunities, then that's going to mean I'm going to have to lose something. I don't understand that mentality. I don't think it's true. I think.
I think a big part of it goes back to the idea that my full actualization of the American dream, it's not that I have the most, which means you have to have less, but it's that I have enough. Recognizing I have enough doesn't mean you can't have more. Because there's enough to go. There's plenty to go around.
Yeah.
I mean, I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine this weekend, and this is a guy he's a smart guy. He's a college educated math guy. We as a society have seemed to blow through the 100 millions. Suddenly now we talk about things being in the billions. Like it's, okay, yeah, sure. It costs 1.4 billion, or that costs 10 billion, or they want 80 billion.
Yeah.
Like, you're a math guy. That's astronomical relative to 10 million or 100 million, which, by the way, is more money than I will ever have and ever process in my life.
Yeah.
And people are talking about $80 billion, making $2 billion last year.
Yeah.
And like, I can't even fathom what that means, but I do know it's more than enough.
Yeah. But that's kind of a struggle I have, though, because there's so much of that's relative. And I'm not saying, that's okay, that, live at that level of accumulation, but, how do you decide what's enough? We've said that before on this podcast.
Right.
There's a lot of people that say you and I have way more than we need, way more than enough.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
I think I told you. I don't know if we were just having this in the Kevin's conversation. I don't know if I said it in the actual podcast. I think if your tertiary means of transportation is a multiple of more than what one of your employees will make in their lifetime, you've got too much. So if you have a $300 million yacht, and you have an employee that will never make $1 million in their life, you have more than enough.
Yeah.
If you've got a $80 million airplane, and I mean, again, what?
I guess what I'm saying though, it's easy to see that line, but like are you and I and people like us doing enough on a global scale to make things better for everybody because we have more than we need?
On a global scale, I mean, the implication there is I'm making a difference for somebody in sub-Saharan Africa.
I guess on a global scale, it's probably let's say okay, here at home,
locally,
yeah, here in our nation.
I think I am.
Do you?
I mean, I like to think I give to organizations and give to people who I think, could use a help, that, maybe this will make a difference for them, or support policies that create structures that will support them. I mean, I had several years ago, it's probably 20 years ago now, at least, I got into an intense conversation with a friend of mine about, we were very different political perspectives. And I said, well, what do you think is the role of the government? And I, as a citizen who funds that government, what do I think the role is and what is my responsibility? And it was just fascinating to me, because this person said they do not believe that the government has any responsibility to take care of the citizens. And I just fundamentally disagree with it. I mean, it says in the document, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, secure the blessings of liberty. I mean, what does promote the general welfare mean, if not make sure that all of your citizens have a certain degree of, welfare, just living, food, healthcare, accommodations, roads they can drive on, go to work. I mean, I don't understand what that means other than that. And his argument was, it gets back to your point, if I give them more, then that means I get less.
Yeah.
And
that seems to be accepted by a lot of people. I guess we both love the ideals of America, and we both love the country we live in, but we think we still have a long way to go. Does that sum it up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm solid A- on the 1931 definition of the American dream.
I love that. I love that. I mean, when
I read that, it was just it was empowering. I mean, I loved it. I was exhilarated by it. I have to say, where it is now, I honestly don't know where it is now. I mean, I don't know that I can give it a grade, because it seems to be such a nebulous moving target.
Yeah.
What is the American dream now?
Yeah, and another thing, I want to see everyone have equal opportunities and be able to have equal opportunities and live what's originally called the American dream, or maybe even the later American dream. But I also wonder, You got to accept the history too. If you think about the starting line, we all didn't start at the same place.
Yeah.
Definitely. We all didn't come through the economic boom, post-World War II economic boom with the same opportunities. So a lot of us, a lot of people in the United States lost ground there. And what's the right thing is there a way to make up those things? I don't know.
I just feel like we have to behave in a way where we are continuously informed. We have to recognize that those things existed. And I don't know how you go about fixing what happened in 1956 or 1961, but you shouldn't allow systems to continue to perpetuate those consequences.
But we're at a point. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying I also feel like on the other side of that, we've gotten to a point where we do a lot of things that benefit people who don't need a benefit. And why do we? I mean, this is just one example.
Yeah.
In the bill, the big, beautiful bill that was passed last year, a private jet is a tax write-off. Think about that.
Yeah.
You buy a $70 million item and you get $70 million in tax credit.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know how things are going in North Dakota. I am pretty sure you're not going to have a $70 million tax bill.
Not this year.
Damn. But I'm not.
No.
And so
never,
if you think about if you need that tax credit, think about what's on the other side of that.
Yeah.
How much are you making that you need the opportunity to write off? That's not fair. That's not right. I don't care. You can say whatever that stimulates the economy, that it stimulates Boeing to produce more jets, or okay, maybe, I don't know, but they don't just, to me, that's not right. That's not, you can't say that's okay, but I can't feed a family of three. We can't afford to feed a family of three. Like to me, that's not what the, provide for the general welfare is about.
Yeah. But I think that goes to, you talked about greed and a lot of where that greed is centered, where it's located and the people making those decisions. But, I don't know how, because we're at a point now where because of those inequitable opportunities from the past, there's a lot of people that have a safety net of generational wealth that a lot of other people don't have, and that just keeps widening and widening and widening this gap. Yeah. And I don't know enough about. Like I said, I'm not a historian or anything, and it might be what your sons are talking about, but that might be one of those late state capitalist things that happen. I don't know. Yeah, but I
don't know.
You're bring Chris in. We need a history teacher. Yeah, we'll get Chris in here. But I'm kind of like you, man. When I read that, what's his name again? James Truslow Adams, 1931, The Epic of America. That definition. Yeah, that's good. American dream's a land which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone.
Right. And see, the thing is that life should be richer. People took that as like you should be rich.
Wealth, yeah.
And that's not what that means. That's not what he says at all.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up, Christopher?
Hi, Chris.
What's going on, guys? This is a good one.
Can you clarify all this for us?
Looks like you got sunburned somewhere, man.
I think it's my lights. I moved my lights around here. First time in this area. I almost want to turn the camera around. I have one of those lamps that has 5 heads on it, and I feel the heat. So, yeah, I think I'm over illuminated. Let's see here. Let's see if we can't help it out a little bit. And then I also have a lamp on and up here with some light shining down.
You look good, man. You look good.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. A little back, but this is big.
Oh, you froze.
Froze up. Hang on. There you go. You're back.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Is the USA the best place to live? Man, I was like, I don't know anymore. I was with Scott. The World Cup, people coming to the U.S. for the World Cup and all the videos I saw with that really helped a lot to hear, like, yeah, you know what? We're in a potentially absolutely the best place to live. But, man,
I heard a great quote
flaws
from the World Cup. Somebody said, if you want to hate Americans, watch the news. If you want to love Americans, come hang out at the World Cup.
Yeah. And when you think about it, my experience out in public and with people, and it's good. It is so good. It's mostly positive. But it seems like a lot of the things we're looking at, like, even podcasts, and social media, man, it's just how you see every negative thing that's happening all over the country almost instantaneously. And man, I almost wonder what the impact is. It really had me thinking that while you guys were talking about just that impact on why we are how we are these days. But hey, I do have some stats. I do have some stats for you. First of all, are y'all ready to hear the informal survey from Fairdown High School on what teenagers think about
all data? We love it. We're all data.
I got to say, I was both surprised and proud. And maybe these kids are different, okay? But I talked to a good, at least 15, maybe 20 kids. Like I said, what's the American dream to you? What is it? And there were not one kid. I had a few kids at first were like, what they were talking about, but they were with a friend who started to explain their American dream. And then they understood, oh, yeah, the American dream. I know what you mean. So they want a family. They want a house. But the one thing they said that shocked me is they want a job they love. And they like. And I had one kid out of the 15 or 20 I talked to say, I want a job where I make a lot of money. I mean, I thought they would all say that. I think I was giving them maybe not enough credit, but they wanted a job that they loved and liked. And I respect that, especially in this day and age when we're looking at their housing market and things like that. Their stuff was like, money. I even asked a couple of them, you don't want a bunch of money? Because, I like money, but I'd rather like my job. And I don't know where they get it, give credit to the parents or whatever, but that was like, it wasn't 50-50. I would have been impressed with 50-50, but high school students on hall breaks and in the cafeteria, overwhelmingly, and I couldn't believe it. And this was like, I didn't ask one group of 10 people. The biggest group I had was 3. They want jobs they like. And they want the family. They want the house. One kid even said, I want the white picket fence too. And I was like, okay, that's old school. But all right. Only one said money, but how cool was that?
That's pretty cool. That's one of the best things. I told people all the time, one of the best things about working in a high school is you always have faith and confidence in young people. When you talk to them every day, because you hear so much negativity about young people, and shoot.
Well, when people start to say that kind of stuff to me that are negative about it, I'm like, oh, when was the last time you were in a school?
Yeah.
Like, that's just what I ask them.
Yeah. And that's like hardly anybody.
Yeah, they just don't know.
Guys, we've had one of the best starts ever. We have some great kids, and it is. It's one of the things I'm going to miss is that interaction. I don't even know to the extent that I'll miss it until it's happening. But yeah, I'm not discouraged one bit about what's coming out as 18-year-olds. Hey, I do have a stat though. I'm going to get you guys to guess homeownership by the age of 28 between boomers, Gen X, and Gen Z. And Gen Z would be the ones in the 20s. So I'll start with boomers are 45%. By the time they were 28, 45% of boomers owned a house. Okay. Gen X, 43%.
Okay.
Owned a house at age 28. Gen Z, which is our current 20-year-olds. What do you think?
38.
35%.
Wow.
That's a pretty big drop.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And also an interesting fact that came up on that same little research. First-time mom back at boomers was 24.9. It is all the way back to 27.5 right now for a first-time mom on the average age. So you throw that in with all pregnancies.
What was it for boomers? You froze up for a minute.
It was 24.9.
Oh, I thought it'd be younger than that.
Yeah, well, I did too. But that's a pretty good. When you're looking at just generational stats,
I bet it's younger than that in the South.
Probably so. It seemed like my high school days it had to be younger than that, but anyway.
Definitely younger than that for you, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Johnstone tradition. But
Well, I mean, that's funny. My mom was 17, not when I was born, but when my brother was born, and that just blows my mind.
my mom and dad had they are a statistical anomaly. Not only do they still love each other after 55 years, they're literally in the Key West together right now with a bunch of friends. But, mom was 16 when she got pregnant, 17 with me, and has had an amazing career. I mean, she has lived the American dream. If you talk to my mom and let her tell you her story, I think of the American dream more than anything, because she started out living in basically they were renting out rooms in the West End of Louisville and other parts of Louisville, and multiple divorces and just crazy life. And somehow she's kind of lived that American dream to where she's been a realtor and building houses, and she would have been a good one to have on. But, it's so different these days. For me, if I define the American dream in like the most simplest form I can define it, is it seems to me like the American dream would be if you're willing to go to work 40 hours a week, and maybe every now and again 45 or 50, you should be able to have that house, a 2-week vacation in the summer, and be able to feed your family without worrying about falling apart financially. That's the American dream that I think was promised. Like, if I'm willing to work, if I'm willing to put in my time, then I'm going to have that good life, that dream life. So, I didn't realize we had it so good right now until I hear all these Europeans talking about how they don't have air conditioning. I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
Yeah.
It was 102 heat index when I got home. I needed the AC on today. So
that's another thing that happened. That's another thing that happened post World War II. Air conditioning.
Yeah.
Opened up the entire South.
That is fascinating when you start to look at that. I did a little research on that a while ago. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Phoenix would not have existed without air conditioning.
Yeah, a lot of people got really rich on real estate when air conditioning was invented.
Chris, you mentioned that about what you just described. Just reminded me. So we were coming. My son Brian moved to Illinois, to Chicago, and so I've driven to Chicago a couple times in the past month. Yeah, and we were driving back yesterday, it was 2 days ago, and let's go a different way, and she's like, well, I don't know, you're driving, what do you want to listen to? I said, I know what I'm going to listen to. So I put on John Mellencamp. She's like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're in northern Indiana. We're going to listen to John Mellencamp for a couple hours. But the song Little Pink Houses,
Yeah.
I mean, more people, vacation now.
Small town.
Mexico. But I mean, that's like the American dream, pink houses, and he talks about it. Actually, I saw him recently. I didn't see him, but I read an article about him performing recently. And he made a comment about the line about there's more people, that go to work in some high rise and vacation down at the Gulf of Mexico. And he said, he commented on that the name change or alleged name change. But then he said, the song came about because he drove past this black man who was sitting in front of this little pink shack. But yet he felt like that guy lived the American dream as much as anybody, because he was living in his little pink house, and I just think that's
with a black cat living in a black neighborhood.
But you know what? He thinks he's got it so good.
Yeah.
But that's to the point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone gets to realize their richest life. Not rich life, but their richest life.
Yeah.
And that's
well, I give James Truslow Adams an A+ for his 1931 definition.
Yeah.
And then I give US a C-. We still have a long way to go.
Yeah. You're generous. I'm going D.
Yeah, I'm going D. Especially when I think of my boys, I give it a D. That's harder now than it was for us, for sure.
Yep.
But man, I took a lot of notes.
You're a history teacher.
And I'm really
history
happy.
Podcast.
Hey, how do we do on our history?
You were good. I was fact checking you guys. It was pretty good. I actually the quote from the 30s that you read was money. You're spot on that. I hadn't heard it either, but that's it. That's a great definition of it.
Yeah.
And it's the definition.
Yeah.
As you may expect.
He wrote the book. The guy wrote the book.
Well, but I'm with it. I'm with it.
Yeah.
He wrote it, and all these years later, I'm still with it. That's what I'm talking about.
We're going to have some James Truslow Adams t-shirts.
You mean JTA?
JTA.
All right. Well, here's what I got. Let me run this by you. So we talked a lot about debt and home ownership, and it kind of led me back to what about just talking about just capitalism, various generations. Like I even thought about, what if you brought Evan on or Brian just to talk about how they feel, because we can't really speak for them. Their mind is in a different spot. We cannot get there. But just capitalism in danger, or in general, and let's see, in 2000, like we're down. The home ownership is actually down from the time they were born until now, pretty substantially. Like 10 points. It's down from kids owning homes from when they were about the time they were born, 25 years ago ish, to now. So it kind of makes sense that their outlook's different, but it'd be nice to understand coming from them. So that'd be cool to bring in an Evan or a Brian or even a Cooper who's newly married and at 23 years old. Yeah. Yeah, they bought the house with the not so great rate of 6%, but it's historically okay. But interesting. It's just hard to get into the mind of a 20-something-year-old without talking to the 20-something-year-old. So, number one, capitalism. Okay. It could be very interesting, of course. Number two, we talked about education a lot. We talked about the assessments, and because the ACT is back, guys. The ACT is being used in colleges. There, a lot of colleges went where they weren't looking at the ACT.
The SAT was important.
Well, the ACT, the test scores, ACT, SAT are both basically they're back. But what I'm saying is,
in line with the way colleges, operate
colleges
now.
Are now once again the few years after COVID, they didn't look at the ACT. Now they are looking at the ACT, especially when determining how to award scholarships. So that's coming back. So all students need to even take Algebra 2? I always love that talk. Do we really need all students to take Algebra 2?
No, I'm a math teacher too.
Yeah, and I got to say, the whole education thing was inspired by when Scott says the strippers and beer line. I said, oh, you know what? That makes so much sense. Like, especially when I've seen Kentucky's assessment system in my 32 years jump about 8 different times. I don't know if we've ever had anything make it to a point where you actually have some validity in any of the testing going on in the state of Kentucky, because it changes before the 4 years is up. So you never have great comparisons. You don't have decades of data to compare it against. So strippers and beer, you are correct, sir. But I think it's pretty cool.
Validation.
Yes. What should the focus of K through 12 education be in 2026 and going forward? Brad, here's what you said. You said someone has to have the courage to make more drastic fundamental changes. Brad Weston, August, what is it? 13th, 2026. And you're right. So education, and we always know AI is playing out in this. What about the 4-day week? Like, who's more qualified to talk about education than the three of us sitting here, as far as that goes? Now, maybe it's a boring podcast. I don't know. But for some, it would be super intriguing. And it might just be what somebody needs to have the courage to make those changes, because I could not agree with you more. Going forward in the next couple of decades, great changes need to be made to adapt to how we're living. Now, the third one, man, this is deep. I just call it the 1%. The 1%. So that's like the wealthy. I got some stats for you. The wealthiest 1%, and you can talk about 1% in whatever form you want to talk about it. But, you guys talked a lot about wealth tonight. And we ended a lot talking about billions. You're right, Scott. I thought the exact same things. We never talked about 500 million. It just went straight to just billions and trillions, and it's just amazing. And also you mentioned demonizing others, which seems to come into it, because if you're that 1%, if you're 1% holding on to so much, you almost have to demonize that, and you have to have a strategy to keep this power, because you know what happens when you don't. But get this:
we don't get there without stepping on a lot of people.
A lot of things happen. Yes. So in 1920, the bottom 90% of America had less than half the wealth. So 90% of Americans had half the wealth in 1920. The 1% had 25% of the wealth. So pretty drastic. We know what happened in the end of the 1920s from, the stock market crash, just triggering basically a bunch of bank loans that weren't going to work, and just a depression that lasted through World War II. The 1950s and 60s, our tax code changed, right? Eventually, once you made so much money, you were taxed up to 90%. Now, you'd have to make a lot of money to ever get to the 90%. All right, Scott, I want you to guess. What percentage of wealth did 1%, the top 1%, account for in the 1950s and 60s?
Under 40.
Luke Skywalker.
Oh, no, it was Anakin.
Okay, Anakin. There it is. Okay. Get this. This surprised me. I looked it up twice because I wanted to make sure. 10%.
Wow.
10%.
What was your answer, Scott? I was doing the Jeopardy
I said
thing.
under 40, which 10 is under 40.
Yeah,
but
it is under 40, so technically it's a very weak, correct answer.
He played it safe there, didn't he?
Wow.
Well, I will give you this.
Lots of judging on the podcast tonight.
Honestly, I would expect the average dude, when I just told you, you did well. Good guess. So that's amazing to me. And, when you look at CEO pay, that is crazy how it's changed since the mid 70s. And then let me finish it out though. Today,
you heard my index. I think this should become the universal index. If your tertiary means of transportation is a multiple of what one of your employees will make in their lifetime, that's fundamentally wrong. I
wrote that down. I like that. It was because I agree with it. So as far as net worth, today 1% is 31% of all the net worth in the U.S. And get this.
And it's crazy.
The bottom.
A third, basically.
The bottom 50%. I looked this one up twice, too. I had to make sure. The bottom 50% of Americans.
Get that cherry, Scott. Get that cherry.
I got it.
Tie the stem in a knot. Happy with that. Their net worth, the bottom 50%, half of America's net worth is 3% of this country.
Say that again.
The bottom 50%, take half of Americans, the bottom half.
Is 3% of the wealth?
They're 3% of the wealth.
Oh, my God.
So
how sad is that?
To me, that just speaks volumes. That speaks volumes about who's making the rules and who are they making them for.
So let's talk about one of these next week. And I think all of them are pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I started looking up various types of revolutions, and I kind of got cut off because we ended, but it's kind of what happens. Yeah. So I was really shocked at what happened in the 50s and 60s, because I know the income tax rates were so different. There were less loopholes. You weren't getting $70 million off for buying a $70 million jet, which is just ridiculous, the things that we passed. Citizens United verdict by the Supreme Court has changed the way we live. But so there you go. Let's talk about the three. I'll go on through. Education, capitalism. That's where we talk about maybe bringing an Evan or a 20-something-year-old on, and the 1%.
So the 49% under that 1% make 60%, 66% of the wealth. That distribution is crazy.
So it honestly, my one criticism on mine is that it's going to be hard to talk about the 1% without talking about capitalism. It's also going to be hard to talk about capitalism without talking about the 1%. So
did you have 3? Is that what it was? 3 things?
Yeah, so just 3. I had a couple of others, but
I just want to make this general comment about education. I feel like I'm so far removed from education, and it's only been 4 years. I just feel like I would be an idiot talking about education, because I may be an idiot talking about most of the things we talk about, but I just don't want it. I don't want it to give any kind of false pretense that I actually understand where education is and what education should be doing.
Well, I'll come back at you here, okay? So, 2 things. You spent 3 decades in education. You know education. You know rigor. You know learning. You know what the system looks like, especially in a large metropolitan school district, public school district. 2 is that you'll spend this week looking through, when you do your research, to kind of catch up with what's going on. So, yeah, you guys have been out of the game for a minute, but you also have about 30 years each of expertise and a week to look through some stuff to see how it's changing. And I've heard Brad talk about a lot of stuff that he would love to see go on and how it would like to change. So I hear you, Scott, but bro, you're an expert. And your pizza's ready.
What's that alarm for, Scott?
That's a reminder to do my puzzles.
Oh, okay.
I have my puzzle streak to maintain. So.
That's so. I want to say boomer, but I know you just missed out on the boomer. But actually, my alarm went on to take my allergy medicine. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
So, what do you think? The 1%, capitalism, or education? I think they all be great. Great topics.
I like the idea of the question about is capitalism good? Is it working? Is it not working? In light of this whole movement of the demonization of the democratic socialist, what does that even mean? What is what are I don't know. I like capitalism. I would like to spend some time and bounce some ideas, because I think we have different perspectives on that, and I think that enriches the conversation personally.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do it. Let's do capitalism.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, democratic socialism, it's just, I'm so troubled by all this going on, because are we going to trash libraries now? Like, you have a free library, I go in, take the library book, read it, bring it back. I mean, technically, that's a socialistic idea, and so are the roads I drive on. So this becomes
the produce you buy.
You take just a fact.
All right, guys, you might want to save it, man.
Okay. Yeah, save it.
You guys are getting ready to get going. I can see this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. All right, man, we'll do capitalism next week. And just a reminder to everybody, if you would help us out by giving us a review and rate us, and maybe put a comment out there and share us with your friends.
Yeah, and I appreciate y'all listening. Thank you very much.
See you guys next week.
See you next week.